The March fog clung to Willow Creek International Airport in Colorado, muffling the hum of Terminal B's morning chaos. Suitcase wheels screeched, loudspeaker announcements droned, and travelers shuffled through the fluorescent-lit concourse. Jack Harlan, 45, a seasoned airport security officer with black hair streaked gray, his Navy uniform crisp, stood at his post, eyes sharp. Beside him, Titan, a 5-year-old black German shepherd, sniffed the polished floor, his scarred muzzle twitching, his brown eyes alert. For 6 years, Jack had trusted Titan's instincts over any human partner, but today the dog's restless pacing felt off, like he sensed a storm no one else could see. "Easy, boy," Jack muttered, tightening the leash, his voice low but firm. Then she appeared. A tall, blonde woman weaving slowly through the crowd, balancing 2 paper bags in her hands. Her pregnant belly strained against a white blouse under a navy coat, her steps careful, clearly in her final trimester. Anna Caldwell's face was calm, too calm for the airport's frenzy, her oversized sunglasses dark against the indoor light. Jack clocked her instantly. Something about her measured pace didn't fit. Titan froze, his body tensing, then unleashed a barrage of sharp, relentless barks, not aggressive but urgent, a warning that echoed through the terminal. Heads turned, travelers froze, and Jack's grip tightened. "Titan, steady," he said. But the dog's hackles rose, his eyes locked on Anna, his barks piercing. "That's not normal," hissed Laura Bennett, 60. A baggage screener with silver hair, her airport jacket zipped tight, watching from the X-ray station. "That dog's never wrong, Jack. She's trouble." Anna didn't flinch, didn't stop, but behind her sunglasses, her gaze darted to Titan, a flicker of something, not fear, not surprise, but recognition, as if she knew why he was barking. Jack's pulse quickened. "Ma'am, stop for a moment," he called, his voice firm but polite. Stepping forward. Anna hesitated, took 2 more steps, then collapsed, her body hitting the floor with a sickening thud. The bags burst open. Papers, small bottles, a sealed envelope, and a tiny stuffed bear scattered across the tiles. "Get medical," Jack shouted, dropping beside her, his radio crackling as he called for backup. Titan's barks turned to panicked whines, his nose nudging Anna's hand, his body trembling. The crowd gasped, phones raised, but Jack's focus narrowed to Anna's shallow breathing, her pale skin slick with sweat. Laura pushed through, her voice sharp. "Jack, that dog knew something. She's hiding trouble." Jack ignored her, his hands checking Anna's pulse, but his eyes caught the envelope, crumpled and stained, with a single word in shaky cursive, "Sorry." His gut twisted. This wasn't just a medical emergency. Paramedics stormed in, their boots pounding, but Jack's attention snagged on Anna's clenched fist. A military dog tag glinted, scratched and old, with a name that hit him like a freight train. Evan Reed. Jack froze, his breath catching. Evan, his old squad mate, dead 20 years in a desert ambush. Jack had buried him himself. The tag should have been dust in a war zone. What was it doing in Anna's hand? Anna Caldwell, an EMT read from her ID, clipping it to the stretcher. Jack's mind raced, the letter burning in his peripheral vision. He slipped it into his pocket, instinct overriding protocol, his hands shaking. "Jack, you saw that dog," Laura snapped, her voice low, urgent. "She's no innocent traveler." "That's a threat." Jack's jaw tightened, his voice cold. "Back off, Laura. She's unconscious." Titan whined, pressing against Anna's side, his eyes locked on her face, guarding her like a secret only he understood. The stretcher rolled away, sirens wailing, but Jack's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Leave her alone, or the dog dies." The twist landed like a bomb. This wasn't just a collapse. Anna was carrying a secret tied to Evan's death, and a conspiracy that had followed her to Willow Creek, and Titan's frantic barks had exposed a truth Jack wasn't ready to face. "Laura, keep this quiet," Jack said, his voice low, his eyes on Titan, who still trembled, sensing danger. Laura's face hardened, her voice a hiss. "You're blind, Jack. That woman's dangerous, and you're letting her walk away." Clara's tears welled, her voice fierce. "I'm not losing Titan, Laura. Whatever she's carrying, we'll find out." The terminal's noise faded. Willow Creek's quiet morning, now a battlefield, and Anna's hidden truth was about to unravel a darkness that would shake Jack to his core. The Colorado fog hung heavy over Willow Creek International Airport, its sterile halls buzzing with the muted chaos of morning travelers. Jack Harlan sat in the security office, his black hair streaked gray, his Navy uniform creased, a cold coffee untouched on the desk. At 45, the airport security officer carried the weight of a past he'd buried, but yesterday's chaos, his German Shepherd Titan, barking frantically at Anna Caldwell, a pregnant woman who collapsed, revealing a military dog tag and a letter marked, "Sorry," had cracked that grave open. Titan, 5, his black coat sleek, his scarred muzzle still, lay by the door, his brown eyes fixed on Jack, sensing his unease. The dog tag etched with Evan Reed, Jack's dead squadmate, and the threatening text, "Leave her alone or the dog dies," gnawed at him. Laura Bennett, 60, a baggage screener with silver hair, her airport jacket zipped, leaned against the wall, her voice sharp. "Jack, that woman's no victim." Titan knew she was trouble. "She's in a hospital bed, Laura," Jack said, his voice low, raw, his fingers tracing the crumpled envelope in his pocket. "Titan's never wrong, but she's not the threat." Laura snorted, her voice biting. "You're soft, Jack. That dog's instincts are gold, and you're ignoring them." Titan's whine cut through the room, low and urgent, his nose nudging Jack's knee, as if pleading for action. Jack's throat tightened, guilt from dismissing Titan's warning resurfacing. He'd slipped the letter into his pocket on instinct, but its weight felt like a grenade. A knock rattled the door. Titan's growl rumbled, his hackles up. Jack grabbed his radio, motioning Laura to stay back, his voice a whisper. "Check the window." Laura peered through the blinds, her voice tense. "It's Ryan." Jack opened the door, revealing Officer Ryan Keller, 35, his black hair tousled, his police uniform crisp, a tablet in hand. He'd been at the scene, stunned by Titan's reaction. "Morning," Ryan said, his eyes on Titan, who softened but stayed alert. "Anna's stable, but that tag's tied to a Black Ops lab Project Aurora shut down 20 years ago." Jack's pulse spiked, his voice sharp. "Aurora?" "Evan died in an ambush, Ryan. What's his tag doing with her?" Ryan opened the tablet, his voice steady. The lab was run by Victor Hayes' tech firm, a front for bioagent smuggling. Evan's unit overlapped with their ops. Anna's parents had been canine trainers, not military, but Evan had been Jack's brother-in-arms, killed in a mission Jack barely survived. Titan's ears flicked, his nose sniffing the air, his body shifting toward the office window, where a black SUV idled in the fog, its driver obscured. Laura's hand tightened on her radio, her voice fierce. "That's the same SUV from yesterday, Jack. They're here for her." Jack's hand hovered near his holster, his voice cold. "Or the letter." Ryan's eyes narrowed, his voice urgent. "We need Hayes' lab records, Jack. That tag's broadcasting a signal." Laura's face hardened, her voice a hiss. "Told you she's trouble." "You're letting her play you!" Titan's growl deepened, his body lunging at the door as boots crunched outside. Too heavy, too deliberate. Jack shoved a chair aside, his voice urgent. "Laura, lock the back exit." "Ryan, cover the hall!" Ryan drew his pistol, his voice tense. "On it!" Laura hesitated, her eyes on Titan, then nodded, bolting to the rear. Jack grabbed the letter, his fingers brushing a hidden microchip sewn into the envelope's lining, unnoticed until now. "What the hell?" Jack muttered, his heart racing, as he ripped it open, revealing a USB drive and a note in Evan's scrawl. "Aurora lives. Protect her." Ryan's face paled, his voice low. Evan knew. He hid this for Anna. A screech of tires broke the silence. The SUV roared off, vanishing into the fog. Laura's voice trembled, clutching her radio. "They're gone, Jack, but they'll be back." Jack gripped the USB, his voice a growl. "They're scared we found this. That means it's big." Henry stood, his voice steel. "Big enough to kill for." "We're not letting them near Anna or Titan." The twist landed like a shockwave. The USB hinted at a conspiracy tied to Evan's death, and Titan's frantic barks had exposed a truth that put Anna in mortal danger. "Jack, we need to move," Ryan said, his voice urgent. "Anna's not safe in that hospital." Titan whined, pressing his muzzle against Jack's hand, his eyes pleading. Jack's throat tightened, guilt washing over him. He'd failed Evan once, but he wouldn't fail Titan or Anna. "Laura, keep this quiet," he said, his voice fierce. "We're getting her out." Laura's eyes narrowed, her voice defiant. "You're betting on a woman who's lying, Jack. Don't say I didn't warn you." The office was no longer a checkpoint. It was a front line, and Titan's instincts had ignited a war Jack couldn't back down from. The Colorado dusk settled over Willow Creek International Airport, casting long shadows across its sprawling parking lot and deserted cargo bays. Jack Harlan sat in a cramped security shed near the tarmac, his black hair streaked gray, his navy uniform damp with sweat, a stale coffee gone cold on a metal desk. At 45, the airport security officer bore the weight of a past he thought he'd buried. But the last 2 days, his German shepherd, Titan, barking frantically at Anna Caldwell, a pregnant woman who collapsed, revealing a military dog tag and a letter from his dead squad mate Evan Reed, had torn it open. Titan, 5, his black coat tense, his scarred muzzle alert, lay by the door, his brown eyes scanning the twilight. The USB drive, hidden in the letter marked "Sorry," and the threatening text, "Leave her alone or the dog dies," had turned the airport into a war zone. Laura Bennett, 60, a baggage screener with silver hair, her airport jacket unzipped, paced nearby, her voice sharp. "Jack, you're playing with fire. That woman's a liar, and Titan knows it." "She's in a hospital, Laura," Jack said, his voice raw, his fingers gripping the USB drive. "Titan's instincts are solid, but Anna's not the enemy." Laura's eyes narrowed, her voice biting. "You're blind, Jack. That dog's never wrong, and you're letting her drag you into a mess." Titan's whine was low, urgent, his nose nudging Jack's knee as if begging for action. Jack's throat tightened, guilt from ignoring Titan's warning resurfacing. The letter, in Evan's handwriting, hinted at Project Aurora, a black ops lab tied to Victor Hayes's tech empire. A sharp knock rattled the shed door. Titan's growl erupted, his hackles up, his body coiled. Jack grabbed his pistol, motioning Laura to stay back, his voice a whisper. "Check the window." Laura peered through a crack in the blinds, her voice tense. "It's Ryan." Jack cracked the door, revealing Officer Ryan Keller, 35, his black hair damp, his police uniform creased, a tablet in hand. "It's me," he said, his eyes on Titan, who softened but stayed alert. "Anna's awake, but her blood work shows bioagent traces, same as the Aurora lab spill 20 years ago." Jack's pulse spiked, his voice sharp. "Bioagents." "She's pregnant, Ryan. How's that possible?" Laura's hand covered her mouth, her voice a sob. "I told you, Jack." She's dangerous. Ryan opened the tablet, his voice steady. The lab was smuggling bio-agents, funded by Hayes's company. Evans' unit was investigating before he died. Titan's growl deepened, his nose snapping toward the shed window where headlights flickered, a black SUV idling in the fog. Jack's hand tightened on his pistol, his voice cold. They're back. Laura's face paled, her voice fierce. We need Hayes's shipment logs, Jack. Now. But Titan's bark turned frantic, his body lunging at the door as boots crunched outside, too heavy, too deliberate. Jack shoved a crate aside, his voice urgent. Ryan, get to the terminal. Secure the cameras. Ryan drew his pistol, his voice tense. On it. Laura followed, her voice fierce. I'm not leaving you, Jack. He ignored them, his security instincts kicking in, motioning her to cover the rear. Go, I've got this. The door burst open, 3 men in dark tactical gear storming in, one wielding a silenced pistol. Harlan! The leader snarled, his voice low. Hand over the drive. No one gets hurt. Titan's snarl was thunderous, breaking free, tackling the leader, his jaws disarming the pistol, pinning him to the floor. Laura screamed, her voice raw. Titan, no! Jack fired a warning shot, his voice a roar. Drop your weapons. The second man swung a baton, but Laura cracked a wrench over his arm, her voice fierce. Stay back. Ryan tackled the third, zip-tying him, his voice desperate. They're after Anna! Titan's growl shielded Ryan, who zip-tied the leader, his hand shaking. The SUV's engine roared outside, tires screeching as it fled. Laura clung to the desk, her voice sobbing. They'll kill her, Jack. Jack knelt beside Titan, his voice steady. Not while he's here, Laura. Ryan's flashlight swept the leader's gear, his voice urgent. Military-grade trackers, comms not local. This is organized. Jack rifled the man's pocket, finding a burner phone, its screen flashing a text. Hayes orders, get the drive. Jack's blood froze, his voice trembling. Victor Hayes? The tech CEO? Ryan's face paled, his voice a sob. He funded our K-9 program. How could he? Titan's whine was sharp, his nose pawing the leader's vest, revealing a hidden vial, bio-agent, labeled with Hayes's company logo. Laura's tears fell, her voice raw. They're weaponizing it. Hayes is running Aurora. The twist landed like a bomb. Jack's radio crackled, a voice from the hospital. Harlan, Anna's gone. Someone took her from her room. Jack's heart stopped, his voice fierce. Taken? She's 8 months pregnant. Ryan's eyes widened, his voice grim. They knew we'd find the USB, Jack. They're cleaning house. Titan's bark spiked, his nose at the leader's vest, revealing a second burner phone flashing. Spectre's orders, eliminate Caldwell. Jack's blood ran cold, his voice a growl. Spectre, who the hell is that? Laura's tears fell, her voice steel. I'm with you, Jack, for Titan. Ryan bagged the vial, his voice grim. This is a Black Ops cover-up, Jack. They'll kill to keep it quiet. Titan's eyes met Jack's, fierce, ready, a vow to protect. The shed was no longer a checkpoint. Hayes's betrayal had turned it into a trap, and Anna's hidden truth was their only guide through a deepening conspiracy. The Colorado night pressed heavy on Willow Creek International Airport. The cargo warehouse, a maze of rusted containers and flickering halogens under a sky thick with clouds. Jack Harlan crouched behind a stack of weathered crates, his black hair streaked gray, his Navy uniform torn from the frantic escape from the security shed ambush hours ago, where Titan's ferocity had saved them from Victor Hayes's mercenaries. His hands, calloused from years of service, ached, but his heart pounded with dread for Anna Caldwell, a pregnant woman abducted from her hospital bed. Titan, his 5-year-old black German shepherd, pressed against him, his scarred muzzle low, his brown eyes piercing the dark, his black coat tense. Trained for airport security, Titan's instincts had led them here, chasing Hayes's bioagent logs tied to Project Aurora. Laura Bennett, 60, a baggage screener with silver hair, her airport jacket bloodied, knelt nearby, her breath sharp. Officer Ryan Keller, 35, his black hair damp, his police uniform torn, clutched a stolen USB drive, his arm bandaged. Dr. Sarah Nguyen, 38, a psychologist with brown hair, her long coat muddied, scanned the warehouse with a flashlight, holding a tip about Hayes's chemical caches. The warehouse, a hub for Aurora's smuggling, loomed, its creaking rafters a gateway to truth or a trap. "Loading bay now," Sarah whispered, her voice taut, pointing to a sagging door. "Guards, 4, armed. We get those logs, we bury Hayes." Jack's hands shook, gripping his pistol, his security instincts battling fear, but his voice was fierce. "For Anna, I'm in." Titan's lunge at Hayes's man, exposing the bioagent vial, fueled his resolve, the hospital's warning, "Anna's gone," echoing. Ryan's voice trembled, clutching the USB. "Titan'll find her, Jack." "He's our hero." Laura's hand gripped Jack's, her voice raw. "Anna's carrying a kid, Jack. Don't let them take her." Sarah's flashlight caught a guard's shadow, radio buzzing. "They're moving crates, vials, files," she said, her face grim. "We're out of time." Titan's growl was low, his hackles up, leading them through the dark, his nose sniffing for threats. Jack nodded, his throat tight, the shed's threat. "You're dead, Harlan," ringing in his ears. "Let's move," he said, his voice low. The bay door was ajar, revealing a cavernous interior, pallets, glowing bioagent vials, and a faint hum of machinery. Jack slipped in, Sarah and Ryan covering his flanks, Laura and Titan trailing, the air thick with a chemical tang. Titan's bark was sharp, his body tensing at a locked crate. Jack pried it open, his breath catching, files, a tablet labeled Aurora, and vials of murky liquid. "This is it," he gasped, grabbing the tablet, but Titan's growl turned feral, his nose pawing a hidden panel. Ryan yanked it open, his voice trembling. Photos. The ambush, Evan bleeding out. Hayes was there. Laura's phone buzzed, her voice panicked. "Another text, Jack. You're too late, Harlan." Titan's hackles rose, his nose snapping toward the bay. Boots echoed, heavy, deliberate. Headlights roared. 3 black SUVs screeching into the yard. Hayes's men spilling out. 6, rifles raised, their leader shouting, "The tablet, Harlan, now!" Jack dove behind a crate, shielding Laura. Titan charging, tackling the leader, his jaws disarming a rifle, pinning him to the concrete. Sarah fired a flare gun, blinding a second man. Her shots wild but effective, but the others advanced, bullets splintering crates. Ryan's voice was a sob, clutching the USB. "They'll kill Anna, Jack," Laura screamed, her voice raw. "Titan, come back!" Jack tackled a third man, zip-tying him, his hands aching, his voice fierce. "Stay with me, Ryan." Titan spun, shielding Sarah, his bloodied flank heaving, his eyes fierce. The leader, bloodied, laughed, his voice cold. "Hayes is done with you, Harlan. Spectre wants those files burned." Jack's rage erupted, his voice a roar. "Not today!" He swung a crowbar, cracking a guard's arm. Titan snarled, protecting Laura, who clung to a crate, whimpering. Ryan's radio crackled. Grace Carter, 28, a journalist at the safe house, her voice urgent. "Jack, Anna's at a warehouse across town. They're after her medical records." Jack's heart stopped, his voice trembling. "They're erasing her past?" The twist landed like a sledgehammer. Sarah's hand shook, pulling a hidden recorder from the crate, a voice crackling. If you hear this, Harlan, Hayes is not alone. Spectre's councilwoman, Ellen Pierce. Jack's blood froze, his voice raw. Pierce. The airport donor? Titan's bark spiked, his nose at a guard's vest, revealing a burner phone flashing. Pierce's orders: eliminate Harlan, Nguyen. Laura's sob choked, her voice fierce. They're everywhere, Jack. Ryan tackled a fourth man, his voice grim. We're pinned. More guards flooded in, 8 tasers and knives surrounding them. Titan lunged, disarming a taser, protecting the dogs, while Jack's shots bought seconds, grazing a guard. Ryan's voice was desperate, clutching Titan's leash. Don't let them win. The leader aimed at Titan, his voice cold. Your mutts first. Jack threw a crate lid, knocking the rifle free, his rage a security officer's fire. You'll never touch him. Titan pinned another guard, his jaws fierce but controlled. Sarah tackled a sixth, but the radio buzzed again. Grace, her voice panicked. Jack, it's Deputy Mark Lawson, your old partner. He's with Anna's captors. Ryan's scream was primal, his voice breaking. Mark, he trained Titan. He'd never. But Jack's mind raced. Mark, always at his side, trusted by all. Sirens wailed, FBI cruisers storming the yard, floodlights cutting the dark. Sarah cuffed the leader, her voice grim. We've got them. Jack clung to Titan and Ryan, Laura's tears falling, her voice fierce. Find her, Jack. Save Anna. Sarah grabbed the tablet, her face set. This name's Pierce's cartel drops. We're close. But Jack's voice was raw. Mark's the key. If he's Spectre's mole. Titan's eyes met his, fierce, ready, a vow to protect. The warehouse was secure, but Pierce's shadow loomed. Anna's life and her unborn child on the line, and her hidden truth was their only hope. The Colorado rain lashed Willow Creek's industrial outskirts, the abandoned chemical plant a labyrinth of rusted pipes and shattered tanks under a sky roaring with thunder. Jack Harlan gripped a flashlight, his black hair streaked gray, his Navy uniform bloodied from the cargo warehouse raid where Titan had exposed Councilwoman Ellen Pierce as Spectre, a mastermind in Victor Hayes's bioagent smuggling ring, Project Aurora. His hands, scarred from years of service, burned, but his heart pounded with dread for Anna Caldwell, abducted and pregnant, her life hanging by a thread. Titan, his 5-year-old black German shepherd, moved silently beside him, his scarred muzzle low, his brown eyes cutting through the fog, his black coat slick with rain. Trained for airport security, Titan's instincts had led them here, chasing Pierce's chemical logs. Laura Bennett, 60, a baggage screener with silver hair, her airport jacket torn, clutched a stolen tablet, her breath ragged. Officer Ryan Keller, 35, his black hair soaked, his police uniform bloodied, held a burner phone, his arm bandaged. Dr. Sarah Nguyen, 38, a psychologist with brown hair, her long coat muddied, carried a police report, her face grim. The plant, a hub for Aurora's illegal shipments, loomed, its toxic air a gateway to answers or a trap. Westgate now, Ryan whispered, his voice taut, pointing to a chain-link fence. Guards, 5, armed. We get the logs, we bury Pierce. Jack's hands shook, his flashlight beam unsteady, his security instincts battling exhaustion, but his voice was fierce. Anna's not dying for their lies. We end this. Titan's lunge at Hayes's man, exposing the bioagent vial, fueled his resolve, the hospital's warning. Anna's gone. Echoing. Laura's voice trembled, clutching the tablet. Titan'll find her, Jack. He's our hero. Sarah's hand gripped Jack's, her voice raw. Anna's carrying a child, Jack. We can't fail her. Ryan's flashlight caught a guard's silhouette, radio buzzing. They're loading chemical crates. Files, too, he said, his face grim. We hit fast. Titan's growl was low, his hackles up, leading them through the mud, his nose sniffing for threats. Jack nodded, his throat tight, the warehouse's betrayal, Deputy Mark Lawson, Jack's old partner, implicated, burning in his mind. Let's move, he said, his voice low. The gate's rusted lock yielded to Ryan's bolt cutters, revealing a cavernous interior, pallets, glowing vials, and a faint moan from a locked storage room. Titan's bark was sharp, his body tensing at a steel crate marked Aurora. Jack pried it open, the sight gut-wrenching. 2 caged falcons, their feathers matted with chemicals, their eyes pleading. They're alive, he gasped, rushing forward, Titan guarding him, his whine desperate. A female, scarred, whimpered, reaching out. We're here, Jack said, cutting the locks, tears burning. Sarah's pistol covered the room, her voice fierce. Move, birds! We're out. Laura grabbed a crate's lid, revealing burner phones, bioagents, and a ledger. This lists targets, Anna's name, she said, bagging a phone, but Titan's growl turned rabid, his nose pawing a hidden crate. Jack yanked it open, his breath catching, a laptop streaming live, not just the Falcons, but Anna in a locked room across town, a shadow slipping toward her. They're with her! Jack screamed, his voice breaking, clutching the Falcon's cage. Ryan's sob choked, his voice fierce. Jack, we have to save her! Headlights roared outside, 4 black SUVs screeching into the yard, Pierce's men spilling out, 7 rifles and tasers, their leader shouting, The tablet, Harlan, now! Jack dove behind a tank, shielding Laura, Titan charging, tackling the leader, his jaws disarming a rifle, pinning him to the mud. Ryan fired, grazing a second man, his shots precise despite his wounded arm, but the others advanced, bullets shredding crates. Sarah's voice was a sob, clutching the USB. They'll kill Anna, Jack, Laura screamed, her voice raw. Titan, come back! Jack tackled a third man, zip-tying him, his hands searing, his voice fierce. Stay with me, Sarah! Titan spun, shielding Ryan, his bloodied flank heaving, his eyes fierce. The leader, bloodied, laughed, his voice cold. Pierce is done with you, Harlan. Phantom wants you buried. Jack's rage erupted, his voice a roar. Not today. He swung his crowbar, cracking a guard's wrist. Titan's snarl protecting Laura, who clung to the Falcon, whimpering. Sarah's radio crackled. Grace Carter, 28, a journalist tracking Anna, her voice urgent. Jack, Anna's sedated. Mark's dosing her with a syringe. Jack's heart stopped, his voice trembling. Mark? He's drugging Anna? The twist landed like a bomb. Ryan's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Phantom's orders. Silence the woman. Not Pierce, but a higher power, orchestrating from the shadows. Laura's eyes widened, her voice raw. Another boss? Who's above Pierce? Titan's bark spiked, his nose at a crate, pawing frantically. Sarah ripped it open, revealing a hidden drive with emails, not just Pierce, but a code name, Phantom, linked to Senator Richard Holt. He's the money, Sarah gasped, clutching the drive. Pierce is just the face. Jack's pistol snapped up, his voice fierce. We're pinned. More guards flooded in, 9, armed, surrounding them. Titan lunged, disarming a taser, protecting the Falcons, while Ryan's shots bought seconds, grazing a guard. Jack's hands burned, but he shielded Sarah, his voice desperate. Laura, get to Anna. The Falcon whimpered, pressing against Laura, its trust mirroring Titan's. The leader aimed at Titan, his voice cold. Your mutts first. Jack threw a pipe, knocking the rifle free, his rage a security officer's fire. You'll never touch him, Titan spun, pinning another guard, his jaws fierce but controlled. Sarah tackled a third, but the radio buzzed again, the woman's voice chilling. Burn it all, Pierce. Harlan's done. Jack's scream was primal, Titan's loyalty his anchor. Sirens wailed, FBI cruisers storming the yard, floodlights cutting the rain. Ryan cuffed the leader, his voice grim. "You're done." Jack clung to Titan and the Falcons, Laura's voice a sob. "You saved them, Jack." Sarah's voice crackled through, shaken but firm. "We've got Anna's location, Jack. The feds are moving on Mark." Sarah grabbed the drive, her face set. "This name's Holt's cartel ties." "We're close." But Jack's tears fell, his voice raw. "Anna's in danger, Ryan. They're not done." Titan's eyes met his, fierce, ready, a vow to fight. Laura's hand gripped his shoulder, her voice fierce. "We'll protect her, Jack. Titan's with us." The plant was secure, the Falcon safe, but Holt's shadow loomed, Anna's life and her unborn child at risk. Jack's fight, for Anna, for justice, was a race against a hidden enemy, and Titan's instincts were their only guide. The Colorado storm battered Willow Creek's outskirts, the airport's old maintenance hangar, a fortress of rusted steel and flickering lights under a sky split by lightning. Jack Harlan leaned against a stack of greasy crates, his black hair streaked gray, his Navy uniform bloodied from the chemical plant raid where Titan had unmasked Senator Richard Holt as Phantom, a mastermind in Victor Hayes's bioagent smuggling ring, Project Aurora. His hands, scarred from years of service, ached, but his heart pounded with dread for Anna Caldwell, abducted, pregnant, and sedated in a cartel hideout. Titan, his 5-year-old black German shepherd, lay alert by the hangar door, his scarred muzzle tense, his brown eyes scanning the shadows, his black coat slick with rain. Trained for airport security, Titan's instincts had saved caged Falcons and exposed Deputy Mark Lawson's betrayal. Laura Bennett, 60, a baggage screener with silver hair, clutched a stolen ledger, her airport jacket torn, her breath shaky. Officer Ryan Keller, 35, his black hair damp, decoded the ledger on a laptop, his police uniform bloodied, his voice trembling. "Jack, this lists Aurora's bioagent drops. Anna's a target." The revelation of Mark, Jack's old partner, dosing Anna had turned the hangar into a war zone. "Keep digging, Ryan," Jack said, his voice raw, his gaze on Titan, whose instincts had saved them. "We need proof Holt's involved." Laura's hand shook, the ledger slipping, her voice breaking. "Mark trained Titan with you." How could he do this? Jack's throat tightened, memories of Mark's loyalty stinging. "He's scared, Laura. They're using him." Ryan's eyes flashed, his voice fierce. "Titan's our hero, Jack. He'll find Anna." Titan's whine was soft, his nose nudging Jack's hand, his loyalty a lifeline after Mark's betrayal. A thud echoed from the hangar's rear. Titan's growl erupted, his hackles up, his body coiled. Jack grabbed his pistol, motioning Ryan to the corner, his voice a whisper. "Laura, behind the crates!" Laura hesitated, her eyes on Titan, then nodded, clutching the ledger. Ryan dragged Titan, his voice panicked. "Stay, boy." Jack cracked the door, revealing Dr. Sarah Nguyen, 38, her brown hair wet, her long coat creased, a chemical report in hand. "It's me," she said, her voice urgent, glancing at Titan, who softened but stayed alert. "Holt's funding Aurora through federal grants. Mark's dosing Anna to keep her quiet." Jack's pulse spiked, his voice sharp. "Dosing her? At the hideout?" Sarah nodded, her face grim. Sedatives in her water, enough to harm her baby. Laura's sob choked, her voice raw. "Her baby? They're drugging Anna to silence her?" Ryan's laptop pinged, his voice desperate. "Another email, Jack." "From Phantom. Clear the hangar, Pierce. No survivors." Titan's growl deepened, his nose snapping toward the vent where a faint hiss sounded, gas seeping in. Jack's blood ran cold, his voice fierce. "They're gassing us! Move!" The hangar door splintered. 5 men in tactical gear storming in, gas masks on, rifles raised, their leader shouting, "The tablet, Harlan, now!" Titan charged, a black blur, tackling the leader, his jaws disarming a rifle, pinning him to the concrete. Jack fired his pistol, grazing a second man, his shots steady despite his hands' ache, but the gas thickened, burning his lungs. Laura swung a wrench, cracking a guard's mask, her voice fierce. "You won't touch Anna!" Ryan coughed, his voice raw. "Titan, help!" Jack tackled a third man, zip-tying him, his eyes stinging, his voice desperate. "Ryan, get to the vent!" Titan spun, shielding Laura, his bloodied flank heaving, his eyes fierce. The leader, mask cracked, laughed, his voice muffled. "Holt's cleaning Willow Creek, Harlan." "Phantom wants you dead." Jack's rage erupted, his voice a roar. "Not today." He smashed a crate over a guard's head, Titan's snarl protecting Ryan, who coughed, clutching the laptop. Sarah's radio crackled. Grace Carter, 28, a journalist tracking Anna, her voice urgent. "Jack, Anna's sedated again." Mark named Holt's partner, airport director Lisa Hayes. Jack's heart stopped, his voice trembling. "Lisa, Victor's sister." The twist landed like a thunderbolt. The vent hissed louder, and Mark Lawson, 40, blonde hair disheveled, his deputy's uniform stained, burst through a side door, syringe in hand, his face wild. "Harlan, give me the drive," he screamed, lunging at Jack. Laura's voice broke, tears streaming. "Mark, you're drugging Anna? Our Anna?" Titan's bark spiked, his body leaping at Mark, pinning his arm, the syringe clattering. Ryan's sob choked, his voice fierce. "You betrayed Evan, Mark!" Jack tackled a fourth guard, his vision blurring, his voice raw. "Why, Mark? Why her baby?" Mark's eyes darted, his voice desperate. "They threatened my family, Jack. Lisa said they'd kill them." Sarah cuffed him, her voice grim. "You spiked Anna's water, didn't you?" Mark's shoulders slumped, his voice a sob. "Just enough to keep her quiet, to save my kids." Titan's growl intensified, his nose at Mark's uniform, pawing a hidden burner phone, flashing. "Lisa's orders, gas the hangar, take tablet." Jack's blood froze, his voice fierce. "Who's Lisa working for, Mark? Give me a name." Mark's eyes widened, his voice a whisper. "Holt. He's untouchable." More guards flooded in, 7, armed, gas masks glowing in the haze. Titan lunged, disarming a taser, protecting Ryan, while Jack's shots bought seconds, grazing a guard. Laura's voice was a sob. "Jack, save Anna." The Falcon from the plant, now freed, pressed against Laura, its trust mirroring Titan's. Sirens wailed, FBI cruisers storming the lot, floodlights cutting the storm. Sarah secured Mark, her face set, blood seeping from a cut. "We've got him, but Lisa's free." Jack grabbed the laptop, his voice fierce. "This name's Holt's cartel network. We're close." But his tears fell, his voice raw. "Anna's in danger, Laura. We're not done." Titan's eyes met his, fierce, ready, a vow to protect. The hangar was secure, but Lisa's shadow loomed, Anna's life and her unborn child on the line, and Titan's instincts were their only guide. The Colorado storm tore through Willow Creek's industrial fringe, the derelict freight depot, a chaotic sprawl of rusted rail cars and rain-slicked tracks under a sky roaring with thunder. Jack Harlan crouched behind a weathered boxcar, his black hair streaked gray, his Navy uniform bloodied from the maintenance hangar ambush where Titan had stopped Deputy Mark Lawson's gas attack. His scarred hands burned, his grazed arm throbbed, but his heart pounded with dread for Anna Caldwell, abducted, pregnant, and sedated by a traitor. Titan, his 5-year-old black German shepherd, pressed against him, his scarred muzzle low, his brown eyes slicing through the fog, his black coat tense. Trained for airport security, Titan's instincts had exposed Airport Director Lisa Hayes as a partner to Senator Richard Holt, codenamed Phantom. Laura Bennett, 60, a baggage screener with silver hair, clutched a stolen USB drive, her airport jacket torn, her breath sharp. Officer Ryan Keller, 35, his black hair soaked, his police uniform bloodied, held a burner phone, his arm bandaged. Dr. Sarah Nguyen, 38, a psychologist with brown hair, her long coat muddied, gripped a crowbar, her face grim. The depot, a hub for Project Aurora's bioagent shipments, loomed, its shadowed tracks a battleground for truth. "South Yard now," Sarah whispered, her voice taut, pointing to a snow-covered rail car. "Guards, 6, armed. We get the manifest. We nail Holt." Jack's hands trembled, gripping his pistol, his security instincts afire despite the pain, his voice fierce. "Anna's not dying for their empire. We end this." Titan's lunge at Mark, stopping the syringe, fueled his resolve, the hangar's warning. "Anna's sedated," echoing. Ryan's voice shook, stroking Titan. "He'll find her, Jack. He's our hero." Laura's hand gripped Jack's, her voice raw. "Anna's fighting for her kid, Jack." "We can't let them win." Sarah's flashlight caught a guard's shadow, radio buzzing. "They're loading bioagent crates," she said, her face grim. "We hit hard." Titan's growl was low, his hackles up, leading them through the rain, his nose sniffing for threats. Jack nodded, his throat tight, Mark's confession. "Lisa said they'd kill my kids," ringing in his ears. "Let's move," he said, his voice low. The railcar's rusted door yielded to Sarah's crowbar, revealing a cavernous interior, pallets, glowing vials, and a ledger marked Phantom. "This is it," Jack gasped, grabbing the ledger, but Titan's growl turned feral, his nose pawing a hidden crate. Ryan yanked it open, his voice trembling. "Emails. Lisa and Holt smuggling bioagents to cartels. Anna's parents were close." Laura's phone buzzed, her voice panicked. "Another text, Jack. Harlan's finished. Phantom's orders." Titan's hackles rose, his nose snapping toward the yard. Boots echoed, heavy, deliberate. Headlights roared, 4 black SUVs screeching onto the tracks. Lisa's men spilling out, 8, rifles raised, their leader shouting, "The ledger, Harlan, now!" Jack dove behind a crate, shielding Sarah. Titan charging, tackling the leader, his jaws disarming a rifle, pinning him to the ice. Ryan fired a flare gun, blinding a second man, his shots shaky but fierce. But the others advanced, bullets splintering crates. Laura's voice was a sob, clutching the USB. "They'll kill Anna, Jack," Sarah screamed, her voice raw. "Titan, come back!" Jack tackled a third man, zip-tying him, his hands searing, his voice fierce. "Stay with me, Laura." Titan spun, shielding Ryan, his bloodied flank heaving, his eyes fierce. The leader, bloodied, laughed, his voice cold. "Lisa's cleaning Willow Creek, Harlan. Phantom wants you erased." Jack's rage erupted, his voice a roar. "Not tonight." He swung his crowbar, cracking a guard's arm. Titan's snarl protecting Laura, who clung to the Falcon from the plant, whimpering. Ryan's radio crackled. Grace Carter, 28, a journalist tracking Anna, her voice urgent. "Jack, Anna's sedated again. Lisa's inside man is Agent Tom Vance." Jack's heart stopped, his voice trembling. "Tom? Holt's enforcer?" The twist landed like a thunderbolt. A figure emerged from the railcar shadows. A man, 42, brown-haired, in a federal agent's jacket, pistol aimed at Jack. "You're stubborn, Harlan," he sneered, his voice venomous. Agent Tom Vance, Lisa's inside ally, codenamed Aurora's Fang. "Anna's a loose end. You're next." Laura's scream was heart-wrenching, her voice breaking. "You guarded Anna at the hospital." "You drugged her?" Titan's snarl was primal, his body leaping at Tom, distracting him, the shot grazing Ryan's leg, blood spraying. Ryan's voice was desperate, clutching Titan's leash. "Jack, no!" Jack dove, tackling Tom, his fists swinging, a security officer's fury unleashed. "You'll never touch her!" Laura's courage, Titan's our hero, fueled him, the crowbar cracking Tom's wrist, the gun clattering. Sarah cuffed him with a zip tie, her voice fierce despite her fear. "You're done, traitor." But Tom's laugh was chilling, his eyes wild. "Holt's untouchable, Harlan. You've won nothing." Titan's growl spiked, his nose at Tom's jacket, pawing a hidden microchip, buzzing with a feed. Hundreds of caged animals in a Mexican port. "They're trafficking wildlife," Ryan gasped, his voice raw. "Holt's funding it all." More guards flooded in, 10 armed, gas masks glowing in the storm. Titan lunged, disarming a taser, protecting Laura, while Jack's shots bought seconds, grazing a guard. Sarah's voice was a sob. "Jack, save Anna!" The Falcon pressed against Laura, its trust mirroring Titan's. The leader aimed at Titan, his voice cold. "Your mutts first!" Jack threw a crate lid, knocking the rifle free, his rage a security officer's fire. "You'll never touch him!" Titan pinned another guard, his jaws fierce but controlled. Ryan tackled a sixth, but the radio buzzed again. Grace, her voice panicked. "Jack, Lisa's at the hideout. She's after Anna." Sarah's scream was raw, her voice fierce. "She's going to kill her!" Jack's vision blurred, his voice desperate. "We're trapped!" Sirens roared, FBI cruisers storming the depot, floodlights cutting the storm. Sarah secured Tom, her face set, blood seeping from her arm. "We've got him, but Lisa's loose." Jack grabbed the microchip, his voice fierce. "This name's Holt's Global Drops. We're close." But his tears fell, his voice raw. "Anna's fading, Ryan. We've got to move." Titan's eyes met his, fierce, ready, a vow to protect. The depot was secure, but Lisa's shadow loomed, Anna's life and her unborn child on the line, and Titan's instincts were their only guide. The Colorado dawn broke raw and unrelenting. The Willow Creek safe house, a fortified cabin of weathered timber and barred windows under a sky heavy with storm clouds. Jack Harlan stood in the dimly lit living room, his black hair streaked gray, his Navy uniform bloodied from the freight depot raid where Titan had unmasked Agent Tom Vance as Aurora's Fang, a key player in Airport Director Lisa Hayes' bio-agent conspiracy, Project Aurora. His scarred hands ached, his grazed arm throbbed, but his heart raced with fear for Anna Caldwell. Abducted, pregnant and sedated, her life and unborn child hanging by a thread. Titan, his 5-year-old black German shepherd, pressed against him, his scarred muzzle low, his brown eyes vigilant, his black coat tense. Trained for airport security, Titan's instincts had saved caged animals and exposed Senator Richard Holt's global trafficking network. Laura Bennett, 60, a baggage screener with silver hair, clutched Anna's medical chart, her airport jacket torn, her breath shaky. Officer Ryan Keller, 35, his black hair damp, held Titan's leash, his police uniform bloodied, his eyes red from tears. Dr. Sarah Nguyen, 38, a psychologist with brown hair, her long coat rumpled, gripped a stolen tablet, her face grim. The safe house, now a battleground, pulsed with tension. Lisa was coming for Anna. "Perimeter's locked," Ryan whispered, his voice taut, nodding to FBI agents outside. "Lisa's men tried to breach the fence last night." Jack's hands trembled, gripping his pistol, his security instincts ablaze despite the pain, his voice fierce. "Titan stopped Tom. He'll stop Lisa." Titan's lunge at Tom, exposing his microchip, fueled his resolve. The depot's warning. Lisa's at the hideout. Echoing, Laura's voice shook, stroking Titan. He's our hero, Jack. Anna needs him. Sarah's hand gripped Jack's, her voice raw. Lisa was Evan's contact, Jack. How could she betray him like this? Laura's chart trembled, her voice urgent. Anna's got sedatives in her system. Trace doses, likely from tampered food. It's endangering her baby. Jack's pulse spiked, his voice sharp. Inside the safe house, who's got access? Sarah's phone buzzed, her voice panicked. Another text, Jack. Phantom says end the woman tonight. Titan's growl deepened, his nose snapping toward the hallway where footsteps echoed, too deliberate, too heavy. Jack's blood ran cold, his voice fierce. They're here. Move! The living room door burst open, 5 men in tactical gear storming in, silenced pistols raised, their leader shouting, Caldwell's done, Harlan! Titan charged, a black blur tackling the leader, his jaws disarming a pistol, pinning him to the floor. Jack fired his pistol, grazing a second man, his shots precise despite his arm's pain, but the others advanced, bullets shattering furniture. Laura swung a chair, cracking a guard's arm, her voice fierce. You won't touch Anna, Ryan screamed, his voice raw. Titan, help! Jack tackled a third man, zip-tying him, his arm bleeding, his voice desperate. Ryan, get to Anna's room. Titan spun, shielding Sarah, his bloodied flank heaving, his eyes fierce. The leader, bloodied, laughed, his voice cold. Lisa's cleaning Willow Creek, Harlan. Phantom wants Caldwell silenced. Jack's rage erupted, his voice a roar. Not on my watch. He smashed a lamp over a guard's head, Titan's snarl protecting Laura, who clung to the Falcon from the plant, whimpering. Sarah's radio crackled. Grace Carter, 28, a journalist at the perimeter, her voice urgent. Jack, Lisa's hacked the safehouse cameras. She's watching you. Jack's heart stopped, his voice trembling. She's running this from inside? The twist landed like a sledgehammer. A figure stepped from the hallway, a woman, 50, gray-haired in a tailored suit, pistol aimed at Jack. You're a pest, Harlan, she sneered, her voice smooth. Lisa Hayes, Phantom's enforcer. Anna's a loose end. You're next. Laura's scream was heart-wrenching, her voice breaking. You worked with Evan, Lisa. You killed him? Titan's snarl was primal, his body leaping at Lisa, distracting her, the shot grazing Sarah's shoulder, blood spraying. Ryan's voice was desperate, clutching Titan's leash. Jack, no! Jack dove, tackling Lisa, his fists swinging, a security officer's fury unleashed. You'll never touch her! Ryan's courage, Titan's our hero, fueled him, his pistol cracking Lisa's wrist, the gun clattering. Laura cuffed her with a zip tie, her voice fierce despite her fear. You're done, traitor. But Lisa's laugh was chilling, her eyes wild. Holt's untouchable, Harlan. You've won nothing. Titan's growl spiked, his nose at Lisa's suit, pawing a hidden microchip, buzzing with a feed. Thousands of caged animals in a Brazilian port. Global trafficking, Sarah gasped, her voice raw. Lisa was just the muscle. More guards flooded in, 12, armed, gas masks glowing in the dim light. Titan lunged, disarming a taser, protecting Ryan, while Jack's shots bought seconds, grazing a guard. Laura's voice was a sob, clutching Anna's chart. Jack, save her! The Falcon pressed against Laura, its trust mirroring Titan's. The leader aimed at Titan, his voice cold. Your mutts first. Jack threw a table, knocking the rifle free, his rage a security officer's fire. You'll never touch him. Titan pinned another guard, his jaws fierce but controlled. Sarah tackled a sixth, but the radio buzzed again. Grace, her voice panicked. Jack, it's Hayes. He's alive, leading Lisa's men from the ridge. Jack's blood froze, his voice raw. Hayes, we exposed him. The CEO's survival was a gut punch, his arrest a ruse to lure them here. Ryan's sob choked, his voice fierce. They tricked us, Jack. Sarah's hand shook, her voice steel. Hayes swore to honor Evan. He's a monster. Grace's flashlight swept Lisa's gear, revealing a microchip with a new feed. Anna's room, a nurse slipping a syringe into her water. Another dose! Grace screamed, her voice breaking. They're drugging her now! Jack's pistol snapped up, his voice fierce. We're pinned! More guards poured in. 15, armed, closing the circle. Titan lunged, disarming a knife, protecting Laura, while Ryan's shots bought seconds, grazing a guard. Sarah's voice was desperate, clutching Titan's leash. Don't let them win. Lisa's eyes gleamed, her voice cold. You're too late, Harlan. Anna's gone. Jack's scream was primal, Titan's loyalty his anchor. Sirens roared, FBI cruisers storming the safe house, floodlights cutting the rain. Sarah secured Lisa, her face set, blood seeping from her shoulder. We've got her, but Hayes is loose. Jack grabbed the burner phone, his voice fierce. This name's Holt's empire. We're close. But his tears fell, his voice raw. Anna's slipping, Laura. We've got to get to her. Titan's eyes met his, fierce, ready, a vow to protect. The safe house was secure, but Hayes's shadow loomed, Anna's life fading, and her hidden truth was their only hope. The Colorado sun poured golden light over Willow Creek's town square, where locals, deputies, and news crews gathered for a ceremony celebrating a hard-won victory over a sinister bio-agent conspiracy. Jack Harlan stood on a modest stage, his black hair streaked gray, a clean navy jacket replacing the bloodied uniform from the safe house raid where Titan had unmasked Airport Director Lisa Hayes as Phantom's enforcer. Beside him, Anna Caldwell, 32, her blonde hair loose, her white blouse loose over her pregnant belly, clutched a stuffed bear, her flats scuffed from nights of captivity. Titan, the 5-year-old black German shepherd, sat proudly at Anna's side, his scarred muzzle calm, his brown eyes vigilant, his black coat gleaming. Once a security K-9, Titan's barks had saved Anna and exposed Senator Richard Holt's trafficking network. Laura Bennett, 60, a baggage screener with silver hair, stood nearby, her airport jacket crisp, her smile warm, but her eyes shadowed by Anna's fragile recovery. The square buzzed with hope, but Hayes's warning, Holt's untouchable, and Victor Hayes's escape cast a lingering shadow. Jack gripped the podium, his voice steady but thick with emotion. Titan didn't just save Anna, he saved our town, he said, eyes sweeping the crowd, Anna's hand in his. His instincts broke through lies, and Anna's courage showed us what justice means. This is your story, too, about fighting for what's right, no matter the cost. The crowd cheered, cameras flashing, a banner overhead reading, Titan's Haven. Jack's throat tightened, his duty to Titan and Anna now a badge of honor. Anna's voice, Titan's our hero, burned bright. Titan's whine was soft, his nose nudging Anna, who smiled, her fear fading. Anna took the mic, her voice clear but trembling. Titan's my protector. He saved my baby. The German shepherd licked her hand, the crowd awing, many wiping tears. Jack knelt, hugging her, his voice cracking. You're my hero, Anna. You and Titan gave me a reason to keep going. Anna hugged Titan, whispering, You're the best dog ever. The air thrummed with unity, Willow Creek reborn through a woman and her guardian. Laura joined, holding a plaque, her voice warm but shaky. Titan's a canine legend, and Anna's his spark. Titan's Haven will rehab animals and communities because of them. She handed Anna the plaque, the crowd roaring, kids waving signs. Titan saves. Anna, still weak from sedation, sent a video message from the hospital, her soft voice clear. Thank you, Titan. Jack's chest swelled, but doubt gnawed. Laura, we got Lisa, but Hayes is out there. Is Anna safe? Titan's tail flicked, his eyes alert, sensing his unease. Laura's smile was fierce. We're close, Jack. Titan started this, and we'll finish it. Grace Carter, 28, a journalist, approached, her files heavy, her voice steady. Feds are raiding ports, Mexico, Brazil. Holt's partner, codenamed Viper, is a CIA operative tied to the cartel. We've got leads. She nodded at Titan, awe shining. This dog's why Tommy, Ellie, and so many are safe. He's a miracle. The crowd applauded, but Jack's gaze drifted to Anna, his heart heavy. The text's warning, Viper's shadow, Anna still a target. A familiar figure stepped forward, Ellie, 10, holding a toy bone, her dog saved by Titan's unit. Titan's like my pup, she said, voice shy, tossing the bone. Titan caught it, bounding back, the crowd laughing, Ellie's joy infectious. Anna hugged her voice bright. Titan saves everybody. Jack's tears fell, his voice a whisper. You're changing lives, Anna. Laura's hand squeezed his, her voice fierce. You both are, Jack. The ceremony buzzed, kids petting Titan, locals sharing stories, the fun soaring. Grace pulled Jack aside, her voice low. We found a name, Viper's agent Stephen Walsh. He's in Willow Creek, planning a final shipment. Jack's heart sank, the twist chilling. Walsh had trained Titan alongside Mark, vowing loyalty. He was there, Jack whispered, his voice trembling. He used Evan's death. Grace's radio crackled, a Fed's update. Walsh's signal pinged at the old lab, planning a data wipe. We're moving. Titan's growl was faint, his nose twitching toward the crowd's edge, a man in a dark coat, slipping away, unnoticed by most. Jack's blood ran cold, his voice a whisper. He's one of Walsh's, isn't he? Anna clung to Titan, her small voice fierce. Titan'll find him, Jack, like he found Lisa. The twist deepened. A volunteer, Karen Holt, a local nurse, approached, offering Anna a water bottle, her smile too sharp. Titan's bark erupted, sharp, his body lunging at Karen, pinning her to the ground, snarling but controlled. Jack's scream pierced the air, his voice fierce. Get away from her! Ryan tackled Karen, his knife drawn, finding a hidden burner phone in her purse, buzzing with a text. Viper's orders, take the woman. The crowd gasped, parents shielding kids, cameras rolling. Grace cuffed Karen, her face grim. She's a mole feeding Walsh intel. We're closer. Anna's tears fell, her voice a sob. Why, my baby, Jack? Jack hugged her, his voice breaking. Because you're our light, Anna, and Titan's our strength. They can't win. Titan's whine was a vow, his eyes locked on Karen, his instincts unerring. Ryan's voice was fierce despite his bandaged leg. We've got Walsh's trail, Jack. Karen's phone has his location, a lab facility tonight. Sarah's eyes blazed, her voice steady. We end this, Jack, for Anna's child. The celebration paused, deputies forming a perimeter. The crowd hushed. Jack's phone buzzed. A video from Anna, awake in the hospital, her hand on her belly, whispering, Titan, you saved us. Jack's heart leapt, his voice raw. She's fighting, Laura. Anna's still with us. Laura's tears fell, her voice fierce. Then we fight too. For her. Anna hugged Titan, her small voice defiant. You'll save more people, won't you, Titan? The German shepherd's eyes met hers, fierce, ready, a promise to protect. The ceremony resumed, but Jack's fire, the spark Anna and Titan had lit, was unstoppable, a beacon for the battle ahead. The Colorado sunset bathed Willow Creek's newly opened Titan's Haven in a radiant golden glow, its sprawling fields alive with the joyful barks of therapy dogs and the laughter of locals. Jack Harlan stood at the sanctuary's heart, his black hair streaked gray, a clean navy jacket replacing the bloodied uniform from the lab facility raid where Titan had exposed Agent Stephen Walsh as Viper, the mastermind behind Project Aurora's bioagent smuggling ring. Beside him, Anna Caldwell, 32, her blonde hair loose, a soft maternity dress replacing the hospital gown, beamed, her flats scuffed, cradling her newborn daughter Lily, a tiny bundle wrapped in a blanket. Titan, the 5-year-old black German shepherd, sat tall, his scarred muzzle proud, his brown eyes soft yet vigilant, his black coat gleaming. Once a security K-9, Titan's barks had saved Anna, Lily, and the town. Laura Bennett, 60, a baggage screener with silver hair, stood nearby, her airport jacket crisp, pride in her eyes, as Lily cooed, her survival a miracle. Dr. Sarah Nguyen, 38, her brown hair tied back, her long coat pristine, watched the crowd, her faith restored. The sanctuary pulsed with hope, but Walsh's final text, "Aurora lives, woman dies," hinted at a shadow still lurking. Jack took the mic, his voice heartfelt. "Titan didn't just save Anna and Lily. He saved our community," he said, eyes sweeping the crowd, Anna's hand in his. His loyalty broke through betrayal, and Anna's strength showed us what love endures. This is your story, too, about trusting the bonds that heal us. The crowd roared, cameras flashing, a banner overhead reading, Titan's Haven. Jack's throat tightened, his duty to Titan and Anna now a beacon of purpose. Anna's voice, Titan's our hero, was a spark of light. Titan's whine was soft, his nose nudging Anna, who smiled, her fear gone. Anna stepped up, her voice ringing. "Titan's my guardian." "He saved my daughter." The German shepherd licked her hand, the crowd cheering, many wiping tears. Jack knelt, hugging her, his voice cracking. "You're my miracle, Anna." "You and Titan gave me back my life." Anna hugged Titan, whispering, "You're the best dog ever." The air hummed with unity. Willow Creek reborn through a mother and her protector. Laura joined, holding a medal, her voice warm. Titan's a K-9 legend, and Anna's his light. Titan's Haven will rehab K-9s and families because of them. She pinned the medal on Titan's collar, the crowd erupting, kids waving signs. Titan saves. Lily, tiny and swaddled, gurgled in Anna's arms, her survival a testament to Titan's fight. Jack's chest swelled, but fear lingered. "Sarah, we got Walsh, but that text. Is Lily safe?" Titan's tail flicked, his eyes alert, sensing his unease. Sarah's smile was fierce. "We're close, Jack. Titan started this, and we'll keep fighting." Grace Carter, 28, a journalist, approached, her badge glinting, her voice steady. "Feds are dismantling Aurora. Arrests in Brazil, Russia, beyond. Walsh's files exposed Viper's empire." She nodded at Titan, awe shining. "This dog's why Ellie, Tommy, and so many are safe. He's changed everything." The crowd applauded, but Jack's gaze drifted to Anna, his heart heavy. The texts warning, a new shadow, Lily still vulnerable. A familiar figure approached. Tommy, 11, holding a toy bone, his dog saved by Titan's unit. "Titan's like my pup," he said, voice shy, tossing the bone. Titan caught it, bounding back, the crowd laughing, Tommy's joy infectious. Anna hugged him, her voice bubbly. Titan saves everybody. Jack's tears fell, his voice a whisper. You're making miracles, Anna. Sarah's hand squeezed his, her voice fierce. You both are, Jack. The celebration buzzed, kids petting Titan, locals sharing stories, the fund soaring. Grace pulled Jack aside, her voice low. We traced the text, a new codename. Wraith, Walsh's mentor, still free, tied to a global syndicate. He's vanished, but we're hunting. Jack's heart sank, the twist chilling. Wraith had sent flowers to Evan's funeral, probing about Aurora. He planned this, Jack whispered, his voice trembling. Anna was always his target. Grace's radio crackled, a Feds update. Wraith's signal pinged in Denver, planning a new shipment. We're moving. Titan's growl was faint, his nose twitching toward the sanctuary's edge, a woman in a dark scarf slipping away, unnoticed by most. Jack's blood ran cold, his voice a whisper. She's one of them, isn't she? Anna clung to Lily, her voice fierce. Titan'll find her, Jack, like he found Karen. The twist deepened. A volunteer, Ellen Pierce, approached, offering Anna a blanket, her smile too tight. Titan's bark erupted, sharp, his body lunging at Ellen, pinning her to the ground, snarling but controlled. Jack's scream pierced the air, his voice fierce. Get away from her! Laura tackled Ellen, her knife drawn, finding a hidden microchip in her purse, buzzing with a text. Wraith's orders, take the child. The crowd gasped, parents shielding kids, cameras rolling. Ryan cuffed Ellen, his face grim. She's a courier, feeding Wraith intel. We're closer. Anna's tears fell, her voice a sob. Why Lily, Jack? Jack hugged her, his voice breaking. Because she's our hope, Anna, and Titan's our strength. They can't win. Titan's whine was a vow, his eyes locked on Ellen, his instincts unerring. Laura's voice was fierce. We've got Wraith's trail, Jack. Ellen's chip has his next drop. Denver port, tomorrow. Sarah's eyes blazed, her voice steady. We end this, Jack, for Lily. Jack took the mic, his voice heartfelt. Titan's story is about healing, trusting the instincts that guide us, the bonds that save us. It's yours, too. What's your story with a loyal pet? He smiled at Anna, who rocked Lily, Titan leaping for a ball, the crowd cheering. Join Titan's Haven. Help us save canines and communities, one heart at a time. Sarah raised a glass, her voice carrying. To Anna, Jack, and Titan, Willow Creek's soul. The crowd toasted, kids mobbing Titan, Jack's laughter mingling with Anna's. Grace handed him a letter from Ellie, her handwriting shaky. Titan's my hero. Thank you, Anna. Jack's tears fell, clutching it, Titan's nose on his hand. You new boy, he whispered, kissing his head. The celebration faded, but Jack's fire, the spark Anna and Titan had lit, was eternal, a beacon for the battles ahead. Subscribe to our channel for more stories like this. Leave a like and share your thoughts below.